everyone, I'm Sarah-Quita Offringa and this is
Uda Johannne, or in Norwegian will be Uda Johanne. But what are we doing here, Sarah?
So this is the first episode of the Windsurf University podcast. This is something that we've been thinking about for maybe 2 years now, but then only managed to get it together today. So this is it. We're going to talk a little bit about ourselves, Windsurf University, what we do there, and maybe what it's like to live a life of a professional windsurfer. And we travel a lot together. So I'm actually going to introduce Uda and she's going to introduce me. So Uda Johannne Stoksabrølt is a Norwegian windsurfer. Actually, she was a professional handball player until she was 21, I would say. So she's lived a very rigid life until then. And if I understood correctly, she realized true freedom once she started windsurfing. The traveling of windsurfing she fell in love with the traveling and the lifestyle of it. And now it's 10, 12, 13 years later and you're still doing this. Freestyle was the first discipline that she started out in and she loves it a lot. But the thing with Uda is that she loves to challenge herself in different disciplines. So she slowly also moved into slalom. She does a bit of wave sailing. And at this point, she's picked up pretty much every other water sport emerging at the moment. So she's also become a lover of kite surfing, surf foiling, stand-up foiling, subfoiling, winging. And she loves to be on the water no matter what discipline. And I think that's something really cool. Good ambassador for water sports.
All right, thank you, Sarah. That was pretty much summing up my life right now. I don't think there's much to add to it, actually. I think that's a pretty good sum up on what we're doing. And yeah, I think we live a quite cool life. I really love the traveling we're doing and everything. And like you said, I used to do handball and now I'm doing the windsurfing life. But actually you kind of had this life for like maybe 10 years before I had the windsurfing life. And if I will introduce you, you are actually almost have as many world titles as your age, minus like 10 years. So you had 22 times world titles. And is it 13 or 14 in freestyle? Then you have wave and slalom. And you also love to kite and also you're doing some winging and you're getting into subfoiling as well. I mean, hanging with me, you don't have a choice, I think. But I think you secretly actually love it. So together we're doing like pretty much everything that's pretty cool to do on the water. And you also studied in Holland 3 years, some innovation. And every time people ask you about what you studied, you kind of like smile a little bit because you're like, okay, you studied and the day when you finished your study, you literally flew back to Aruba because you were done with the European cold. Mm-hmm. So, I think, is there something else that I should add to that?
No, I think I just maybe need to add that you also studied, no? You did sports science. Yeah. Do you feel like you're applying what you studied to your life right now?
Actually, yeah, quite a lot because with the Windsurf University, it's kind of like a lot of the coaching part. And for my own life, like all the sports stuff, it's kind of, we were teaching how to teach other people. And I think that helps me with myself, but also helping other people on the camps we are doing as well. So I definitely feel like I learned a lot. And I just went to a really cool class, like the way we had the class, and it was like really fun to study. It's always not so fun to do the exams, but it's also kind of like a project that you start on and you finish. And yeah, I'm really happy that I did those 3 years with the studying.
So we just want to explain a little bit about the Windsurf University, what it's all about, where it started. And I am going to have to say that Uda is the one that comes up with all the great plans and ideas. Usually it's in moments of boredom, I guess. And guess what? It was COVID and we were in Aruba driving in the pickup. And all of a sudden Uda was like, we need to start coaching online. And because we couldn't actually physically get anywhere, couldn't fly around, really couldn't really meet people. So the only way to teach and coach would be through online classes. And that's how we started Windsurf University. Within a day, the website was up and we sent out the emails. And we had people signing up and getting one-on-one coaching. Maybe you want to share a bit about how that worked?
Yeah, so I just, because we were trained together, we will film each other, we will go home straight, watch the clips, and I would like overanalyze every clip, I think. You as well, but you will do it a bit more for yourself, I think. But I will be like, oh, Sarah, what would you do there? What would you do there? And kind of compare those clips to other tricks that you see where the rider is doing it perfectly. And basically use this way of training to understand when you're sitting in front of the computer what you're doing wrong and what you can improve for the next session. And that I was just thinking, like, actually you don't need to be a professional windsurfer to train like that. If you can take some shortcuts, actually, even if you're like a weekend sailor or holiday sailor, like everyone loves to feel improvement. It gives you more fun on the water when you don't have to be stuck on the same jibe for 20 years, or still after sailing 20 years you cannot do attack because you just don't know exactly how to do it. So just with the help from a coach, it's like much easier to maybe get to that next level. And there's not always coaches around on people's home spots or anything, so we will just be there online and help out. And I think it worked really well because after we have the classes, the students are sending us a feedback and they're like, oh, now it worked better. It kind of opens up your mind a little bit about how to improve your sailing.
We also started organizing physical camps. So the physical camps are actually also a lot of fun. This way we actually get to interact with the people, sail with them on the water. We tend to use BB talking as well. We still do a lot of film analysis. We film a lot and then share the clips with the students so that they can see what they do right or what they do wrong. And until now we've been to Karpathos. We've done that together with the Meltemi Windsurfing School. We did our camps in Brazil, Bonaire very recently, and hopefully in the future we can expand that. So maybe you want to talk a bit about our Brazil camp, how that was compared to Karpathos.
Yeah, so last November we had a camp in Brazil. I do think that was one of my favorite things because it was like a total adventure. When we started the camp, the forecast was actually quite bad. But the people that were joining the camp want to get into wave sailing. So even though the wind was pretty light, there were still some waves. So they learned to like catch the wave and ride the wave a little bit. And then what was my favorite was when we had like 5 or 6 beach boogies that we packed full of gear in the morning, and then we went along the coast. We got into this like homemade ferry that you cross with the beach boogies. You cross the river, and then you get into the mangroves, and then you drive basically into the desert, and there you find like a perfect windy shallow lake, which is like the place where I think I learned most of my moves. And it's just always windy there. Every time I'm sailing 4 or 4-4. So when it was less wind in Jerry, we just went there and we had a blast actually with the camp. And you saw that everyone improved a lot there. So we spent the whole day there on kind of like a magical sandbank. And then during sunset, we packed up, drove back. And it's just an adventure itself. And everyone were like kind of on the same page with what they wanted to do for the camp. So we had dinners together. We went out to dance like forró, this Brazilian thing. It was like a whole package, I would say, with an adventure. And I think also joining a camp like this is fun because you can go on a windsurfing holiday by yourself and you end up sailing with like 14, 15 other people and also making friends for life. And I was just telling Sarah, like, I can't believe this is actually like a job, because after those 4 days, I was like, I want to do more, you know? So I think that's why we also expanded the camps in Karpathos. We have 3 camps there now. We will have like 42 people. And I think we only had 2 spots left for that one. So they're becoming quite popular. And who knows, maybe next year we'll do 4 camps. There's a lot of cool stuff happening. And we were also recently in Bonaire. We had a camp there that we organized. That was very fun as well. Bonaire is like an easy place where it's shallow water, lighter wind, and every hour people are improving.
Yeah, I would just like to add to that to maybe explain the differences between the spots. Karpathos is where we started the camps. It's a very windy spot. It's it's called Devil's Bay actually. Maybe that scares some people, but it's a really good spot. It's mostly flat water, can get quite windy. But what I like about that spot is that you get in and out very easily. It's a pretty protected bay. The service from the school is amazing. The rescue service if it's needed. The chill area, lounge area, all of that is really nice. And I feel like there in Karpathos, it's 110% windsurfing. We do 2 sessions a day normally. We tend to take a break also because it is so windy and people do get tired. So we have a day break and then we keep on going. Then, for example, in Brazil, it had much more of an adventure feeling, I would say. We still sailed a lot, but there was a bit more variety. So in Jeri, you had a bit more wavy conditions, like you said. And then the next day was like an adventure to the lagoon where it's flat water and strong winds. And then at night, I'm not gonna lie, we had a mojito or a caipirinha. And we did go for a dance. So there's like a little bit more of that lifestyle, I would say. And in Bonaire, it's definitely one of the places where you're gonna improve the quickest or the most, just because of how the place works. So it's very shallow. You can go in and out very easily. You can switch gear. The wind is super consistent. For the lighter days, we actually got some of the clients into wing foiling. And I think that's an important part of our camps also, is that we adapt to the conditions and adapt to the wants and needs of the clients as well. We make sure that they can learn what they want, but we also try to challenge them and to try new things also. There was a guy that didn't know anything about winging and he ended up really liking that as well. And I think that's also a positive, just to get people on the water and enjoy the conditions.
I fully agree to what you're saying. Since Sarah just mentioned all these really nice spots, we just have to mention today's episode sponsor, and that is Wind Center Hotel Playa Surf in Tenerife. We spent 2 weeks there in March during the Starbucks photo shoot, and it's just such an amazing place because you stay at a hotel. After you had your breakfast, you just walk maybe 10 meters, 50 meters to the windsurfing center they have there. They have really good gear. And then you walk straight down to the water, 50 meters, and then you have a perfect spot to windsurf. You can do everything there, winging as well. And they are collaborated now with Windsurf University, so hopefully we can also do a camp there in the future. Mm-hmm. So can really recommend that place. It's just a really sick location.
What else are we going to be up to the upcoming months? We're in Aruba at the moment. This is where we spend the winter months mostly. This is where I spent all my life, actually. Uda is just escaping the winter. But yeah, this is the windy season in the Caribbean. And we tend to do a lot of freestyle. Upcoming event is the Aruba Highs, which is, I think, has been running for 30 years at this point, or maybe even 35. And I'm going to be competing in the slalom, windsurf long distance, and as well as the kite long distance. And I think this is just a really fun event where we just celebrate water sports and having a good time on the beach. And the level is pretty high, and on the water, level on land is also pretty high with the parties and the entertainment. So yeah, check it out.
Yeah, so I think it's cool to mention that there will be a PWA youth event at the same time. Mm-hmm. So there will be a lot of kids coming from all over the world that will compete in slalom. And I guess Aruba Highs was like how you actually got into competing yourself?
Yeah, I think, well, actually the first event that I saw was the Aruba Highs. My brother was competing there. And there were so many people that came from outside of Aruba, from around the world. And it was just such a nice vibe on the beach. People were super excited about the races. There was a nice atmosphere at the beach, just people hanging out, chilling. And I saw how everyone was just, people were just making friends based off the experience that they had on the water. And I think the year after I started competing, which must have been 2002 or something, there was this big freestyle event, and there was always this battle between the Bonaireans and the Arubans who would take home the most prizes. That was always very motivating to keep on pushing. And I think back then for the kids, they had a lot of activities as well. Besides the competition, we also got to go on these banana boats, and then there was like a sunset sail with another boat. I think it was called the Tattoo or something. And yeah, I think that's where I made some of my best friends in windsurfing, and they still are. And yeah, it's a big reason why I love the sport. That I'm still competing now. I'm still traveling, still making friends, and for me, it's very much based off of the high winds.
I'm also very excited to compete in Aruba Highs. It will be my first time ever at that event. So it's going to be fun, I think. It's going to be fun to race you as well. We always had some fun races in slalom. So it's been a while now. And I think this is the first episode of the podcast. You should follow and stay tuned for the next one, because maybe we'll even do a giveaway. And also remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, to follow the podcast, and also other how-to videos and tips and tricks for windsurfing that can kind of help you to level up your game. Follow us also on Spotify to listen to all the podcasts.
We need to have a like a peace out.
So we don't exactly know how to end the podcast, so I think we're just gonna put like a artificial bell or something. So bye.
Bye, guys.